All right, time now for our rants and raves of the week, starting with Dan.
I have a rant for Al Jazeera America, which launched, or at least they talked about launching nearly 2 years ago, and it has been a train wreck pretty much ever since. This week, things really came to a head. The chief executive of Al Jazeera America, Ihab al-Shahabi, resigned after a pretty devastating New York Times article and also some coverage in the Washington Post about turmoil within the place, sexism, and one executive supposedly made a remark of whoever supports Israel should die a fiery death in hell. Little office cooler talk, I guess. And it just seems to be coming apart at the seams. Nobody's watching it. It's about 30,000 viewers a night.
They have done some good work. I've seen some of their pieces.
Their better work was earlier, before they started laying people off in droves. I don't know what's next, but a rant.
And thus confirming every negative stereotype that was thrown out about them when they first started out.
Yes, absolutely.
I just saw 2 pieces, documentary pieces done by reporters there that were fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
I have, they
feel
are
bad
doing good.
for those
journalists.
journalists.
I know.
What do you got, Callie?
So this is a piece written by Simon Owens for Pointer.org.
Rant or rave?
Rave. I'm raving his writing this because he's really talking about the perils of hiring. He says name brand journalists, and the point is something that we've talked about a little bit here, and that is you think you're by hiring Katie Couric for Yahoo that you bring her whole audience, but maybe you do, but it doesn't necessarily accrue to the institution. While they're there, it accrues. While she was at NBC, CBS, it accrues. She moves, it doesn't. He's using Ta-Nehisi Coates at The Atlantic, saying they have great Twitter feedback, great numbers, but when he leaves, what's going to happen? And so we need to think about what name brandism does in journalism. He also mentions the whole Brian Williams fiasco as part of this whole thing. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Adam.
I want to rave for Bill Simmons, who after many years is apparently parting ways with ESPN. I have actually been sort of hot and cold on Bill Simmons over the years. He's entered what I think of as sort of his rococo period now, where he doesn't want anyone to tell him what to do. He overwrites, writes about his trips to Vegas with his buddies as opposed to sports. All that being said, he's a huge, huge talent. And at his best, I think he can still do it, he was a genius of a writer. He also is sort of this case study in a guy who wanted to get into the mainstream media here in Boston, covering sports, couldn't do it, found a way to become kind of a proto-blogger and just became his own brand, went on to become arguably one of the most powerful people at the most powerful name in sports. He's the guy behind those 30 for 30 short-form documentaries they do, which by all accounts are excellent.
So, what was that incident that got him in trouble? He got suspended?
He, on his podcast, said that Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, lied when he said he didn't know about that videotape of Ray Rice punching Janae Rice. And the truth is, Bill Simmons was probably right. He taunted his bosses in the podcast saying, you want to suspend me, suspend me.
But and then they did.
Hate speech.
His cause, I think, was somewhat just. So anyway, gargantuan talent. I hope we see much more
name
from
brand
him
journalists,
in
the perils of hiring.
But to your point, Kelly, ESPN has done a very good job of keeping the network as the star.
That's true.
That's true.
So
That's
they'll
a good
do
point.
better with this than some others would.
Yeah.
John, what do you got?
I have a rave for college journalism here in Boston, specifically 2 outlets, the Harvard Crimson and the BU Daily Free Press. There are many other excellent outlets. The News at Northeastern, the kids at the Heights up at BC have done great work over the years. But the Daily Free this week celebrated its 45th anniversary. Quite an achievement, particularly given they nearly passed away a few years ago for lack of funding. And over at the Crimson, go on their website right now, 2 excellent stories about racism in the culture at Harvard. One having to do with the way that minority faculty members are made to feel uncomfortable by their colleagues and the administration. Another on a lawsuit about the university's discriminatory admissions policies toward Asian Americans. Really good, solid reporting. Thank goodness for the College Journalists of Boston. They really add a lot to the texture of this community.
Yeah, we should subscribe. All right, finally, I have a rave this week for a news illustrator. That's how he describes himself. This is Richard Johnson from the Washington Post. He also has a blog that everybody's going to want to read after I show you some of his stuff. He takes a sketch pad into court, and he does both sketches and commentary along the way. We'll show you some of the pictures. This for instance, is Bill Wenrab from the Tsarnaev trial. if anybody knows this prosecutor, that is exactly what he looks like. That's Tsarnaev as he comes into court. And he has all this commentary. You have to read it, up close to see it. This is us, the media, in court. So he was sitting in back of us. And if you look, there I am. So he names people. But he does funny things, too. He'll say things like, this woman, the prosecution would not tell us who this woman is, and this is so-and-so. So a lot of it is this very rich detail, and and the artwork is just incredible.
And
It's
very
really,
necessary
yeah.
in a situation
It's
where the
very
banning
nice.
of cameras has deprived the public of a lot of the texture.
Does he get a lot of response?
I think he's starting to.
Oh,
He's starting to. I actually pinged Marty Barron an email the other day saying, this guy's fantastic. And he got back to me and said, glad you're enjoying his work.
Oh, wow, I'm going to look it up.
So I hope
Yeah.
it's good.